how do you tell somebody that thinks that they're supposed to do something, but it's obviously scary, and you have a lot of short and midterm responsibilities, and the whole world's going to call you crazy. You know, I've been somewhat successful at finding my own way, but not as successful as I know that I could be. And there's things that I maybe not avoid, but it's scary. And and I also know that here in hindsight, it's very easy to seem convicted, but at the time it must have been a very difficult sort of path.
It was extremely difficult.
So can you expand on that a little more? Yeah.
On what to tell somebody else? Is that what your question is? Or the path?
Yeah. How do you know that you're right and everybody else in your social group that's telling you to do something else is wrong? That's not an easy way to go.
It's not. And we have two primary sources of information as a human being. We get thinking and we get knowing, right? Thinking and knowing. One of these is socially conditioned because your brain is literally a computer that catalogs everything that's put into it now, and you end up living your life moving forward based on the past. That's one of the challenges. But there's also that calling inside you. Some of us hear it more loudly than other people do. But the fact is, we were all born to be great. We're conditioned to be average. And we're wired to avoid pain, right? So it's like this weird combination. But that's the journey of being a human, right? Is growth and expansion. And it really just comes down to if you go forward 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, and you don't give it all you got, how are you going to feel? Right? So everybody has to tackle that journey themselves, because literally every person, the way I like to think about this is everybody is climbing their own mountain, right? They're climbing a mountain, right? Here's a mountain. And you're driving, and I'm climbing the Jason mountain, and you're climbing the Alexander mountain, and David's climbing the David mountain. And we're all giving each other advice, but we're all on different mountains. Then you've got the bottom of the mountains, right? Where everybody's average is hanging out. Why are you going up there? You could fall, right? So you get the collective is average. If you're average, your life is going to suck, right? But if you're average, there are TV shows to show you you're average. There are medications. There's special pills to make you feel better. But there isn't the support to being great. Greatness is like a choice. Like, are you going to play at your full potential, or are you going to be average? And to do that, you have to conquer all the fears about climbing that mountain. And no one is going to notice you're climbing that mountain when you're at the bottom. And it may take years and years. And people will be like, what are you doing up there? You stop wasting your time. You've been on that side of the mountain for like 2 years. What are you doing? Come down here. But you're like, I know I'm supposed to be up there. Because then when you get to the top, the other person's far away, right? Because the next mountain's way over here. So it's hard to see the other people climbing the mountain. But we all have that potential in us.
I like that analogy, and I like that you mentioned the 40 years from now, what are you going to regret? So when I was a recruiter for the military, people are always this, that, the other, and family members are always trying to tell their kids not to go in the military, and there's all this pressure. And that was actually one of the ways that I used to frame it for them. I was like, well, look, man, as you're thinking through this, just 30 years from now, are you going to regret joining, or are you going to regret never trying? And, whichever one of those you think is going to be the one that you regret more, well, there's your answer. So it's a cool way to think through it.
It is. And I was actually on a team call with my coaches a couple hours ago, and I was talking to them that, right now life's pretty intense for me. The business is growing. Besides business, I have 4 boys under age 11 and 11, 9, 6, and 4, and they're awesome, and I love them. And it's a lot at home. At the same time, the business is growing. We're close to 30. We went from 1 employee to 30 employees in 18 months. I've got a live event next week. I'm writing my second book right now. I'm managing the team and all this stuff at the same time. It's overwhelming. And I was talking to my team, and I was like, it's completely and totally overwhelming right now what I'm doing. To the point where I stop and I just breathe. Just so intense. Would I want to do anything else? No. Because what I've discovered is that the satisfaction of knowing that I'm playing at my absolute potential is far more satisfying than any reward, any money. It's the most satisfying thing in life. And the thing is, the only person who will understand that is me.